Texas Math Mundo audience. Today we have the 2004 Texas UIL State Mathematics Champion Class 2A from Argyle High School, a proud Eagle, Mr. Les Murphy, the 2004 State Champion in Math Class 2A. Let me take a moment and pause to say if you enjoy this sort of material, please hit the subscription button and the notification bell. It really helps out my channel quite a bit. Also, smash that like button and make a comment below. Mr. Les Murphy, 2004 State Champion Mathematics from the storied perennial powerhouse Argyle High School math team. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Texas Math Mundo audience. Today we have the 2004 Texas UIL State Mathematics Champion Class 2A from Argyle High School, a proud Eagle, Mr. Les Murphy. It should also be added, he was the top physics scorer in the state that year as well, and came out second place individual in the calculator applications exam. Welcome, Mr. Les Murphy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, I'm very happy to have you here, man. I can't wait to pick your brain.
Sure.
So let's start off with asking, how are you doing? What are you up to nowadays?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm running a business. That's kind of my career. I've been doing for about 10 years. Been running my own business, well, with a partner anyway. And we've been selling fire protection or pumps, water pumps for fire protection, automatic fire sprinklers. So that's been my career for the last 10 years, really a little longer. That's just how long I've owned the business, about 10. And I've been in the industry around 13.
Oh, wow.
That's what I've been up to.
Automatic fire sprinklers.
That's right. Yeah. So the automatic fire sprinklers in buildings, sometimes they need more pressure or more water, sometimes both, to adequately put out a fire. So that's where we come in. We supply the pumps that put out the fire.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a critical role, just saving lives in the right moment,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like necessarily a firefighter where they're like really risking their lives, but we do absolutely help add infrastructure and things like that to the, United States economy.
Absolutely. Wonderful, Mr. Lester. Wonderful. So I'm sure that work can be time-consuming and overwhelming. But when you're not working, what are your hobbies and interests?
Sure. I actually enjoy computer programming. I got kind of an interest when I was in junior high school programming TI-82 calculators. Me and some buddies would just kind of casually program silly wizard RPGs. And I got into programming like that. And then I had another teacher introduce us to HTML. This was back, in 1998, I think. Her name was Mrs. Germany. I actually remember that. And it was a cool English project because it got me into computer code. And I kind of felt I didn't really do much of it in high school because I was so busy with other activities, but I picked it up again in college, just kind of as a side thing to do for fun. And now that I have a business, I found an actually applicable use for it, and I've programmed a handful of like sort of database applications for my business. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's fascinating. Isn't it wonderful, like when an academic pursuit actually turns out to be applicable in the real world?
Right.
You know, that's awesome.
So yeah, I have a professional career, but my hobby I've actually applied to my career. It's pretty neat.
Awesome. That's really awesome. I love that. So I wanted Les Murphy, 2004 State Champion in Mathematics. I want to talk about, where are you from, born and raised, and what is your cultural heritage?
I mean, I'm white. But yeah, I mean, I'm a Texan, sort of born and bred. I was born in city of Dallas, but I spent the first 14 years of my life in Highland Village, which is right down the street from where I live now and right down the street from where I went to high school in Argyle. When I was 14, we moved to Argyle, and that was my freshman year of high school. And so I spent 4 years at Argyle High School, and then I just went right down the street to University of North Texas in Denton. And that's where I did my undergraduate degree. And then I moved around a couple of times, Austin for a few years, Denver for a year. And then in 2012 is when I moved back to North Texas to start the business.
Oh, awesome.
So 10 years, I'm on my 10th year, so I'm not that bad at math.
So you're a Texan through and through.
Yes. Yes.
Cowboys or Texans?
I'm not really into football,
Okay.
to be totally honest, man. I guess if I had to pick, I'd pick Cowboys just because I'm a Dallas guy.
We'll let that slide.
Sure.
So when did you realize that you had a talent for mathematics?
I would say junior high, but also kind of right before ninth grade. So great question. It was kind of strange. When I was in sixth grade, I wasn't that great at it. I was probably a A- to a B+ student in just regular arithmetic or whatever they call math in sixth grade. But I was on the advanced, sort of accelerated path. I did pre-algebra in seventh grade. I did regular algebra in eighth grade, which isn't crazy accelerated because I did know kids that were in algebra in seventh grade, and I actually looked up to those guys, and they were kind of an inspiration to me. And I'll probably get back into those guys in a second, but I would say the first time I was really interested in math, I got this book. I think my parents gave it to me at Christmas, or it was like a stocking stuffer or something, and it was called Sideways Arithmetic from Wayside School, and it was written by this guy, Louis Sacker, who wrote this whole series of books about Wayside School. He's the same guy that wrote the book Holes and did the movie with the kid, or he was a kid at the time. But anyway, it said like that the movie Holes is based on a book series, or rather the book Holes by Louis Sacker, who wrote this book, Sideways Arithmetic from Wayside School. And he wrote a second follow-up book called More Sideways Arithmetic. I actually looked it up. You can still get them online on Amazon right now. More Sideways Arithmetic from Wayside School. And in those books, it was just like fun math, but in the sort of universe of the Wayside School book series. And I was really into those books as a kid. And so I related to those math books, and I wanted to be good at them. And I for sure learned a lot from those books. There's like the answer key in the back, and so every once in a while I get stuck and I'd have to look it up, obviously. But like I think overall that had a huge impact on developing my brain to like think outside the box a little bit more creatively than I was used to.
All right.
Just
What grade was that?
going through
What
the
grade were you
school
in?
system. Sorry?
What grade were you in?
Either 6th, 7th, or 8th.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, if I had to guess, probably 7th.
Okay.
I was
Sideways
probably
arithmetic.
12 or 13, yeah.
Okay. Sideways arithmetic.
Yeah,
Wow,
Sideways
that's-
Arithmetic from Wayside School. And when I was in algebra, in 8th grade, I was a BC student. I wasn't that great at it. But when my family decided to move to Argyle, I remember visiting the school counselor to get my schedule going for freshman year. And made it a point to tell them that I wasn't very good at math, which is kind of funny now to think about it. But I told him that, and this guy, his name was Mr. Gentry, something Gentry. And I mean, I kind of credit him a little bit to getting me on the right path, because he's like, okay, so where did you go to school before this? And I said Briar Hill Middle School, which was in Louisville Independent School District, which is where it encompasses Highland Village, which is where I grew up. And he was like, oh, the math program there is really good, so you're going to be fine here. And I was like, I don't know if I should take pre-AP, because I was going to take geometry, but I wasn't going to take pre-AP geometry. I wasn't prepared for like that level, or at least I didn't think I was. And Mr. Gentry's like, you're going to be fine, trust me. And so I was like, all right. So I'll take the risk, and and my mom was like, yeah, you should probably do it. And so I go, okay. And sure enough, I was an absolute wizard at geometry. I basically made hundreds the entire freshman year, and I don't remember ever making anything less than like a 99 on anything that I did in that class. And so that's when I really knew that I was good at this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, what a stocking stuffer. That sideways arithmetic. What an incredible,
Right. Yeah,
wow.
exactly. I'm speculating a little because it's been so long, obviously, but I think it was. I'm serious.
Wow. That's whatever family member decided to give you that. That was a well-placed gift at the right time.
I completely agree.
Wow. So your introduction to competitive mathematics, when did that happen?
That actually happened in junior high also. So that's kind of where I was going with these guys that I looked up to, these guys that were in algebra in 7th grade. And I mean, if you're outside the United States, that's actually pretty common. But like in the United States, that's you're ahead.
Yeah.
If you're in algebra in 7th grade, you're way ahead. And I was in algebra in 8th grade, so I was like advanced but normal advanced.
Yeah.
These guys were special advanced, and it was 3 guys. And I was trying to remember this yesterday while I was looking over your outline, and I think their names were Dane Henderson, Patrick Yost, and Michael Albrighton, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, those 3 guys I looked up to, and I don't think they ever knew, but I just was like, those guys are smart, and I like smart guys. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they were on the math and the science team at my middle school, Briar Hill. And so I think followed them to one thing, and this was in either 7th or 8th grade at this point. And I followed them to a meet or something, and I wasn't very good, but I got lucky, I think, because I don't remember knowing anything in junior high. But I took the junior high science test, and I got the bare minimum to get to like regional or state or whatever in junior high. Now I just qualified, and then I think I went and I bombed or something, but I got really lucky, and I got to go to state my 8th grade year in science.
Was that TMSCA? The TMSCA state? Okay. San Antonio?
I don't remember. 8th grade, it was... I remember a lot more about high school,
okay,
but
sure.
In 8th grade, when I was in Briar Hill, I remember being a peasant amongst gods. I remember looking up to all these guys because they were so sharp.
Wow. So my next question was going to be, and you probably had several inspirations. So these guys inspired you because they were guys that you saw as math gods, or. But who else might have inspired you and shaped your value system?
Man, I guess I didn't really review that question.
That's okay.
I mean, obviously, my parents were a pivotal role in like making sure I was on the right path, doing the right thing. They were constantly trying to get me involved in activities. They didn't necessarily care which direction I went. I remember in junior high, I did soccer, I did basketball, I did a little bit more athletic stuff, even though I was pretty little. But I was pretty avid in band. I was a trombone player in middle school for all 3 years. And, just like any kid, I was like into video games and stuff.
That's awesome how your parents encouraged you to explore whatever interest you had.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Go out there and do it, and we'll support you.
They were kind of always just, as long as you're doing something, great. So
that's great. That's some good parents right there. That's some good parents. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask about the UIL, the 2004 season, and Argyle High School. So what was Argyle High School like in 2004? Can you describe that academic environment or just the environment in general?
Yeah, I can. Argyle now is a 4A school. It's a fairly large school. And but when I was there, it was very small. And I was the second graduating class from the school. So when I was a freshman, there were only freshmen and sophomores in the school. There were no juniors, no seniors.
Wow.
And then when I was a sophomore, there was no seniors. And then when I was a junior, there was the full class. And we had the first graduating class. And it was like 56 kids. Wow. And then when I was a senior, it was something in the neighborhood of 70, 72. I think 72 rings a bell for some reason.
Yeah.
And so it was very small. And everybody knew everybody. But I say it was small, and it was small, but it was still like suburban Dallas and white affluent, like kind of what you would picture. I don't know what it's like down in Houston, but like the Highland, kind of like small Highland Park, small South Lake, those kind of districts. I mean, we were very, very privileged and fortunate to grow up or go to high school where we were going. So, but there were still like kids left over from like the country part of Argyle. So it was probably like 20% country kids and then like 80% suburban transplants.
Wow.
That was the feel when I was in high school.
Wow. Argyle High School, man. What a wow. Okay.
Now it's like 100% suburban.
Affluent suburbs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Sure.
So, do you remember your teammates, your coaches? And we'd like to make a shout out to them.
Absolutely. We need to give a shout out to them because not only did I owe all my success to them, but they were also some of my inspiration that I didn't necessarily like get to say because I figured I would get to this. Yeah. So I will say Elaine Casey was my biology teacher in 9th grade, and I had mentioned to her something about doing the UIL stuff in middle school, and she was the one that basically was like, yo, you need to do this here because we're starting a program. And because when I was a freshman, the program was extremely new. And my eventual main coach, Cliff McCurdy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. You probably have. He's famous in the UIL academic world. I'm pretty sure he took over Larry White's writing of the math test just recently, like this year. And so anyway, he was my coach from sophomore year to senior year.
Really?
Cliff McCurdy, yeah. And he's big name. Everybody knows him. And then I would say Kimberly Cass was my chemistry teacher. She was an excellent chemistry teacher. And I feel bad because Mrs. Casey, when I was a freshman, she was a good biology teacher from what I remember, and everybody loved her. I didn't retain anything, and I feel kind of bad about that.
Funny.
And I will say Cindy Harris was my geometry and algebra 2 teacher, and I obviously owe her a great deal for getting me ready to be in the program at all. Wow. So Cindy Harris, Cliff McCurdy, Elaine, Casey, and then Kimberly Cass. Those are my four, the big four teachers.
I love it. I love it when we take a moment to say thank you and to make a shout out to those critical people in our lives that made all the difference, man.
He made a huge difference in my life and my future and everything. So yes,
I hope this reaches their ears.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so too. And I'll probably share this with Mr. McCurdy because I still kind of keep some, over time, slowly keep in contact with him just because he was such a big deal in my life.
Awesome. I actually interviewed Director Larry White, and he confirms the fact that Mr. McCurdy will be taking over the math directorship.
Great. Yeah, the only reason I knew that is because I was just like, on Sunday, when you asked me to do this, I was like going over old stuff, and I was on the website, and I was like, "Yo, that's my teacher."
Awesome.
So that was pretty good to that he's finally getting. Well, he was always recognized, but he's now a test writer, and that's fantastic.
Yes.
He wrote a lot of practice tests for practice meets when I was in high school, but I don't know if he ever wrote UIL meets or tests when I was in high school. I guess not, probably not, but I'm not positive about that.
You know what else is of interest? That Argyle program is pretty storied by now, isn't it? But
I think so.
You were there at the inception. You were there
Correct.
at the formative beginning years of that.
Yeah. So I was like the second round of success there in terms of like the academic UIL kids. So when I was a junior, and I probably have it somewhere here in my notes, but Jacob Payton, Jacob Watt, who was the third person? Lyle Workman. It's like, I think the three of them are doctors now, I think. And those three were on the science team when I was a junior, and we won Science State my junior year as a team, and I think one of them won the whole thing. I think Jacob Payton won, but I'm not positive about that. I'd have to go back through.
Well, it's part of the archives. We can look it up.
I was fourth, and I'm pretty sure that year when I was a junior, they only took the top 3 scores for your team. And then in 2004, they changed the rules, and then it was all 4 was on the team. So for whatever that's worth, my score didn't count, but I did get to go. And I did make it in mathematics, too, that year. I think I ended up 6th place my junior year in Class 2A.
Wow. So a perennial powerhouse, Argyle is. A perennial powerhouse, and you were there in its formative years, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And so that was my junior year. My senior year, well, maybe you're going to get to this, but my senior year, it was, let's see, it was Justin Freeborn, won state in science, and I think also got like the top bio or top chemistry score. I think it was chemistry. I think he got second in bio. And then Josh Albritton was science. He did really well. He got like second, or maybe, and then Kevin Burnett. Kevin Burnett was like the next round of like, I don't know, Argyle math kids. So he did number sense, math, science, and calculator, and I think he did really well. He started as a sophomore when I was a senior, and he was dominant. Wow. And so by the time he was a senior, he was great. But that's kind of like the extent of Argyle's academic history that I really know. Mr. McCurdy, obviously, he knows everything, and he remembers everything.
What a program! Yeah. What a program!
It's a heck of a program. And he was a coach at Valley View High School before Argyle, and he turned those Valley View kids into superstars too.
Wow!
Yeah.
What a coach! What a coach!
Yeah, he's a legend. He really is.
Yes. Let's see if I can get him on this program one day. I hope.
Absolutely.
I hope. So, also, because when you won state in mathematics in 2004,
yes,
you got second place calculator. But you tell me an interesting story that if it had been in a region, the team carried you to state.
That's absolutely true. So, I was decent at calculator my whole high school career, but it wasn't necessarily my strongest test. But I was good enough to be a formidable force. But at district, I did great. I think I ended up with a 256 at district, and I don't know what the scoring's like now, but I'm pretty sure the maximum back then was. Don't get me wrong, it was 80 questions. And then it was 5 for every right. So whatever that is, 400. And so I think 400 is the maximum. And I was consistent in like practice, getting like 270, 274. Not great, but pretty good. Pretty good for a brand new program and somebody that really had only practiced maybe 2, maybe 3 years. Because I didn't even mention that. Freshman year, I basically never did anything. Sophomore year, I did very little. And then I really started pushing hard in all my disciplines, my junior year. Okay. So I was regularly practicing my senior year around 270, and then at district I got a 256, which is slightly below average for me, but it was fine. It got me first in district, and then I went to the regionals. Now in regionals, I don't remember the exact number. I'm pretty sure I have it here, but I choked. I choked hard too. So the calculator team in district went to regionals as a team. So we were there as a team. Let me see what it says here. It says it just says how many I missed. So in calculator, at regionals, I usually did 76 out of the 80 because I skipped the last 4 state I did geometry. And I ended up with 9 missed number crunchers, which is absolutely brutal, right? And then I think 6 stated in geometry I missed.
Wow.
So I think I ended up with like a 130 or a 150 or something just really poor for me. And it ended up getting me like 10th or 9th in regionals, which is not good enough to go to state. But Josh Albritton, Kevin Burnett, my fourth team member, who was it? Don't get me to lying. Calculator team, Justin Johnson. Apologize, Justin.
Yeah.
The three of them carried me, and I got to go to state in calculator. I mean, I still would have gone for mathematics and for science because I was good at the physics, but I got to go in calculator thanks to them. And then in state, I did pretty well, and I got a 254 at state, and I basically missed kind of what I usually miss, but I missed one significant digit problem, which put me below the 256, which was the state champion score that year.
Yeah.
So I missed the championship in calculator applications by 2 points.
Couple important points. The team can carry an individual sometimes. So that team contest can really help out if you keep trying. And also, man, those significant digit problems, man.
Well, so that's the one test I actually still have after all these years is my state calculator test. I have it in my possession. And I looked at my answer, and the answer was correct, but it was obviously off by the significant digits. But I put 3 digits, which is the standard, what you're supposed to do on everything.
Sure.
So I know in my head, I did that on purpose because I didn't want to waste time on that problem. And like thinking about it now, it's just like, if I just spent a couple more seconds, maybe I would have got the right answer. But say la vie, it's fine.
Wow, but you're still a state champion. So
yeah.
I was going to ask about your teammates. You mentioned several of them. We all are a cohesive group. What was the practice regimen like? What were your study habits?
So again, when I was a freshman, basically I didn't do it because Cliff McCurdy didn't start there. They had birthed the program, but Mr. McCurdy didn't start until I was a sophomore. Okay. So by the time I was taking Algebra 2, he was there. And so that's when he started really recruiting and pushing people. I was in band all 4 years of high school too. I was one of those guys that kind of did 2 different things. Some kids or some students, they don't get that privilege, and I was very fortunate, and I got multiple disciplines when I was in high school. But anyway, I started pushing hard, I think kind of like end of sophomore year into junior year. But during band season, during marching band, I was kind of into the band, and if I had practiced more, I might have gotten a state champion in calculator. Who knows? But I don't necessarily regret it either. So I would say, really starting in, I studied from August to when is it? May something? Yeah. So I studied the whole time, but it was definitely like my frequency of days that I would take tests for practice increased as the year went on. I would say at the beginning, I would probably, of my junior year, I was taking probably like 3 tests a week. I would take, and that's kind of it. I would take like 1 number sense, 1 calculator, maybe 4. 1 number sense, 1 calculator, 1 math, 1 science.
Wow.
Every week. And then once, I think it was like all region or all state band is over, that's kind of when band doesn't really matter to me anymore, and I put all my energy into math.
Yes.
And then I started taking like double or triple that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would do, I don't know, a math test, then a calculator test on the same day. Sometimes I would do 3. But I do remember Thursdays was always science day, and then Mr. McCurdy would go over every single physics formula. He had this huge packet, and it was every constant, every formula that you needed to know for UIL physics.
Wow.
And it was really helpful for just school too, but he had like a huge packet. It was something like, I don't know, 100 pages worth of just like great physics information that he typed up, in his spare time and gave to all the students that were interested. And so he would go over every single page every single Thursday. Wow. And especially my senior year, I was so used to it. I was like on autopilot, but that was kind of my regimen. I would do like number sense on Mondays, and I would usually peace out because marching band was like after that. So numbers is like Mondays were like I didn't do much, but Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays for sure I would focus a lot on calculator and math. and science.
All right. So which calculator did you use?
Okay, I have them right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got the 32S.
Oh, wow.
My original 32S from
wow.
all those years ago. So I beat this guy into the ground.
Those were durable. Those were durable. A lot of people swear by that 32.
Oh, they were great, and it was great for years. I used this all throughout college too.
Wow.
But it has since taken a dump, and it doesn't work anymore. And so I bought this guy, which is very similar to the 35.
Oh, 35.
Mm-hmm. Very similar.
Yeah.
And it works great. The buttons feel the same. It's great. So,
all right. What was that second one? The 35?
The 35S, yes.
Okay.
The HP 35S, yeah.
And those are in production. So if you break it,
yes,
you can
those are in production. You can get them on Amazon or whatever, and it's great. I did also use graphic calculators, but not nearly like these HPs.
Yeah, hey, I'm an HP fan too. So
absolutely.
So what was your most memorable moment or moments of those years?
I went to TMSCA State my senior year. Well, I think actually sophomore, junior, senior. And I just remember doing really well at that competition, especially my senior year. I did I got the Top Gun and that $1,000 prize. Yeah. I was happy with that, obviously. And
that comes with money your senior year.
What's that?
That comes with money your senior year.
Right. And I was especially proud of that because I'm pretty sure I had to compete against the 1A and 3A schools.
Oh.
Additionally to the 2A. And now it's divided by, I think, grade at TMSCA State. So, but the reason I was so proud of that was because the 3A schools that dominated that year were Bridgeport, and they had two twins. One, coincidentally, I actually went to college with, but it was like Kevin McBride and Kyle McBride, and those guys ruled. Those guys were awesome, and I remember those were the guys I competed against in the practice meets my senior year, especially, and they were twins and they were great, but I beat them at that, and so I was really especially proud of that. Now they went to a bigger school, so I didn't get to compete against them in state, and I probably would have lost if I'm being totally honest, because they were dominant in 3A. Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Excellent. So I would say I'm especially proud of that. But there's other things that I'm especially fond of memory wise. Do you want me to finish?
Yeah.
Or do you want to? Oh, okay. I would say just the memories I kind of had with my other teammates. It was just kind of fun being in especially practicing. The meets were fun too. But I honestly, I remember practicing more than I remember any of the meets. The meets where I was like on autopilot and I just was go. I was, especially my senior year, I was so prepared. Like I was just there. I did it. I got my medals. I went home. But the practicing was what I remember the most. Specifically, just like I remember I think I told you my senior year I was on autopilot when we did physics, especially, and I, at one point, it was very late in my career, and I was already kind of checked out of school at that point anyway, like high school. I didn't really want to be there because I was over it. I only wanted to do math and band, probably around February of my senior year. That's all I wanted to do. So, but anyway, I remember Mr. McCurdy going over his the physics sheets. My senior, again, on a Thursday, and I just remember at one point I got uncomfortable in my chair, and I started adjusting, and I eventually ended up where my head was I was doing essentially a headstand on the ground, and I don't know why I remember this, and I was doing a headstand on the ground while reading he would write down stuff on the board, and I knew exactly what he was writing down, and because it was so automatic for me, and I would just read stuff off, and I'd have my calculator, and I was on my head, and I was doing stuff kind of just in my head, but anyway, it's kind of a dumb story, but
that's great.
It was memorable, and Mr. McCurdy, he probably remembers because he probably thought I was a lunatic.
I love that stuff. I love the fact that. That there was so much practice, but that's part of the journey. In fact, you got to embrace the practice. You got to embrace the journey.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that you mentioned the TMSCA State meet. That is such a crown jewel to the season. And I don't know if a lot of administrators out there know that, But these are, you're not the first person to mention that. So when schools can hear stuff like this from the students' mouths themselves, they understand how important that little trip, usually it's an overnight trip, and how important that is to kids.
Well, it's so well executed to give kids confidence. I like the fact that it's divided into like the grade levels, 9, 10, 11, 12. And because when I was in 10th grade, I did pretty well, all things considered. Now, if you compare me to the older kids, I was getting crushed, but like it didn't matter. I was getting medals and it felt good. And so it gave me the confidence to keep pushing. Absolutely. And I think it was part of what made, it just helped me keep going.
Yes.
Good competition. Absolutely. I agree.
State champion. I'm in awe of that. How does it feel to be a state champion? Number one.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, I guess. I was so, as a team, we won science my junior year, and so I was kind of a part of that, and that was my first gold medal UIL anything, and I was pretty pleased with that. I was if this is all I get, that's great. But yeah, I ended up with a couple of 3 more team gold medals. I think math, science, and calculator. A silver medal in calculator, and then 2 more golds, individual math and physics. And it feels great. And I actually had another one in marching band. So we won marching band state too. That was pretty good. And so yeah, I ended up with a ton of medals, and it feels good to be a state champ. And it just kind of like made that hard work really worth it. And I know some people get to the level and they don't get the gold, but like, and I don't know. And that's disappointing. But at the same time, it's like the hard work is honestly what I remember more than anything else. And it made such an impact in like just developing myself into an adult.
Yeah. Yes.
And creating good habits for the future. So
would it have been worth it without the gold medals?
Yes. Absolutely, because I learned a ton.
Yes.
I almost cursed. I'm sorry. I'm kind of.
That's great.
Yeah, but yeah, I learned an absolute ton, and it's skills that are so applicable to jobs and creativity that spans just industries and industries and industries, and it's stuff that you can't. It's priceless. It's priceless education. Mr. McCurdy and my other coaches were giving this stuff away for free.
Yes.
I mean, taxpayers, but you know what I mean. It's
yes.
like
as long as you're zoned to that school, you got it.
Right. What an amazing service that you and all my other coaches and all the coaches in Texas are giving these kids.
Thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's well deserved.
Having said that, you did win those gold medals. Where do you keep them now?
Well, right this second, they're on my kitchen table because I got them out because I was like, hey, I wonder what all these. But they were actually in my attic for a while, and now I kind of feel bad about that, but I got to be honest. And you get older and you kind of forget all that stuff that you did when you were younger, and you get really like entrenched in your life, the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I forgot about it, to be totally honest with you, but. When anybody brings it up, you go, oh, yeah, I was pretty good at that.
Wow. Well, I'm here to remind you that those are very special. They're very special,
Absolutely. But you also don't want to necessarily turn into Uncle Rico and turn into the guy that wishes he was back. You don't want to be that guy.
Or like Al Bundy playing football. Al Bundy with football. Like, when I was in high school, I played football for...
Yeah, I don't really know that reference, but... Yes, okay. Kind of like that.
I feel you. Yeah. So where did you go to college, and what degrees did you earn?
So I went to University of North Texas from 2004 to 2008, and I got a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering, and I finished in 4 years, and I went into my freshman year with something like 21 credits, thanks to the dual credit program, and I actually didn't take any AP tests. I think it was all dual credit. But I went in with a ton of hours, and really I probably really went in with something like 40 if you count the classes I had to retake, but that were so easy for me that I never studied at all. Yeah. Like, that was a gift from my just preparation in the UIL academics. I mean, my college physics to me was a joke. I mean, it was so easy. I mean, I made hundreds on everything. I got accused of cheating. That's actually a long story, but I got accused of cheating because I finished my test in like 15 minutes and I didn't write anything down, and so then I ended up having to do the whole test again in front of a professor. Long story, but
they didn't know you had McCurdy for teaching you physics these years.
They didn't.
Funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
do you believe that your UIL experience helped you on your journey through college and your career?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's yes, and I would say honestly, probably only 25% of the preparation that I did in high school was applicable to the curriculum itself. The other 75% was test taking. I learned how to take tests better than all my peers, and I ended up like a 3.7 graduating college.
In a tough degree, by the way. It's electrical engineering.
Yeah, it's a difficult degree, but I didn't study that much. I probably could have taken more away from college, if I'm being totally honest. And but I probably should have studied more, and I would have gotten, a 3.8. Yeah. But I had a good time in college, and I got enough out of it. I think that But again, I made great grades, and I didn't have. Some of my peers had problems with like keeping GPAs up and stuff like that, and I just didn't have that problem.
No. And imagine the confidence going in as a state champion.
Right. I mean, I went into every single test. I just remember like a class differential equations. I had to take that, and I just remember how I thought it would be my most difficult class, and it ended up being just so easy. I didn't even have to. Anyway.
Have you ever returned? Do you return to Argyle? Have you set foot back in there? Do you imagine returning to UIL in any capacity, perhaps as a mentor? Or what are your thoughts on that?
When you contacted me, I thought I had that in my brain of like, there was this guy. So Mr. McCurdy always talked about this guy that coached at Bridgeport, and he wasn't not an employee of the school district. He was like a volunteer, and he was an engineer by trade, and he came in and he helped the math teachers and stuff teach calculator and number sense and science and stuff like that. And it jogged my memory when you reached out, because I was like, maybe I could do something like that one day. I haven't really been back to do anything productive other than visit with old teachers. I have visited with Miss Cass. Mrs. Casey has since like moved on to other career, or at least other schools. I'm not sure other career. I made that part up, but Mrs. Cass, Kimberly Cass, and Mr. McCurdy stayed at Argyle for years, and so I would go back and visit them from time to time.
Awesome.
And my sister went there, so at least when I was a lot younger, I got to visit my sister every once in a while. But other than that, I mean, not really.
What do you value the most about your UIL journey?
What do I value most? Ooh. That's kind of a tough one, but I guess I value the discipline I was able to take away from practicing. Like, I would say that. I obviously had help from, again, Cliff McCurdy helped me set reasonable goals. And that was something, when you're a kid, I at least didn't really know how to do that, set goals. I will say that he helped me set good goals, but then I had to do the work and do the discipline to achieve those goals. Does that kind of make sense? Those are the values. Yeah, those are kind of the values I really took away from it.
You still have to exert the discipline. You have to still exert the discipline necessary.
Absolutely. And honestly, when I was in, like, I think I told you I was in band too, and I did band for 4 years. And the same discipline applies really to that too. If you want to be good, like I went to All-State in my instrument, and it's like, if you want to be good, you got to practice. I mean, there's just no way around it. And I did that, and I made All-State, and it was great. And I wanted the same goals for me in the UIL academics, and I was helped to set those goals, but when you realize the work you actually have to put in to be good at it, then you can kind of see a path at least. Like, okay, I need to do X amount of tests, because it seems like every month I get an extra question right or something like that. Especially on math, it was like that. Calculator, it was just all about just speed, But mathematics, it was like every year, it's like I could see my score just steadily rise, and especially my senior year, I was like, I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Discipline is probably what I took away most.
All right, absolutely. And we're doing so. You value the most. You value the most the hard work that you put into your UIL journey.
I would say that. Yeah, I would. Those are probably the values I took away from it. Hard work and just like kind of realizing the importance of, I don't know, the disciplines that I was focusing in. Mathematics, physics. Those are, my main two, I would say. But just realizing the importance of that on a bigger scale. And again, Mr. McCurdy helps you realize that by telling stories of his past students that got these great jobs and went to these great schools and all this, just all this success. He would tell you about it every week, and then that gets in your head. Like, I could do this too. I could be great. And so he just knew exactly what to do. It's great. I mean, and I wasn't the first, I wasn't the last, and I'm glad. I mean, he really made a difference.
I love you saying this because he got Mr. Director Larry White's endorsement. And now he has your endorsement. I'm feeling very good about the math contest this year. I'm feeling very good about the math contest.
My endorsement doesn't mean quite as much, but I will say that he really touched my life.
In some ways, it means more since you were his student. In some ways, it means more. In some ways.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, he should be really, really proud of himself for what he's accomplished in his lifetime.
Awesome. And he still got a lot more to go. He just started the directorship of math.
Right, I know.
So there's much more to contribute. Wow. So the next question, I think, is always the most important question I always ask.
Okay.
So I hope this video is out for decades, and I hope many youths come across this video.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for the youths to come across this video, perhaps a younger version of yourself? What would you like to tell them?
I would say find something you're good at, or at least that you like, but usually those two tend to be the same. And just go hard. You figure out something fun to make yourself better. And I mean the UIL contests to me was a great fun way to get you to do things that might otherwise seem dull. Honestly, I mean, music, mathematics, those aren't necessarily traditionally fun disciplines, but high schools in general, they figured out a way to make them fun. And so find something that's fun, do that. And I mean, but you got to do something. You can't. If you do nothing, you're just going to get in trouble. And if you get in trouble, you're not gonna. I don't know. You could affect your life in a way that you could regret. So,
hey, find something you love. Go hard.
Find something you love. Do that. And if you want to be if you end up figuring out you want to be a state champion or something, you got to go really hard.
A lot of states do not have UIL programs in all these areas. We're pretty lucky in Texas to have that.
Yeah, we're fortunate.
I mean, we are. We really are. Texas does it right. Texas does it right. I love it. So, what does the future hold for you? The 2004 Texas UIL State Mathematics State Champion, Les Murphy. What does this future have in store for you?
The future has in store for me more grinding. If I'm being totally honest, I've been running my own business now for 10 years, and I got a lot more to go. And I'm just I just continue to grind every single day, telling myself, one of these days this is gonna pay off, whether financially or otherwise. And I would say overall it has. But I'm kind of waiting for the next thing, you grind hard, and then you kind of get into a point where it's like, why am I doing this? And then you remind yourself, okay, it's all about the end goal. Sometimes it's about just doing good work.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm trying to focus on in my life, is just doing good work, helping people that need help when it comes to at least my product and my customer base. And that's kind of what I focus on in my life. I try to just be valuable to others.
Wow, that's great. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes. Always show pride in what you're doing, man. That's what I tell everybody.
Absolutely.
Even with my teaching, I show pride.
Right.
In it, show pride.
Right. I mean, if I was a thief, it's hard to be proud of like stealing, but like,
but you show pride in it.
Right. But I'm essentially like, me and the people that I work with, we're essentially builders. Like, I'm a subcontractor, so we are effectively building things, and
yes.
Buildings are, I don't know, rad. They increase people's standard of living and et cetera, et cetera. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
I wouldn't say too many final thoughts or final words, but I especially. I would say, okay, here's what I would say. I do not regret anything I did in high school when it comes to my activities. The math, the science, I loved every minute of it, and I met cool people, and that is both programs too, like the band too. It was very social part of high school for me, and I would say the math was just like kind of a different avenue for that, but the math had other things the music didn't have, and music had things math didn't have. Anyway, I don't regret doing those activities. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. If I was a good athlete, which I was not in high school, but if I was, I probably would have done some of that too, and I probably would not have regretted that either. So if you find something you're good at, do that, and do it hard. And I don't think you'll regret working hard to achieve goals.
Mr. Les Murphy, the 2004 state champion from the storied Argyle High School program. I can't express my appreciation enough for you coming on this program and sharing your perspective. I'm in Houston. If you ever find yourself in Houston, man, give me a call. You got my phone number. Let's go have a taco. I love talking about this stuff. I know you love talking about this stuff.
Sure.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah, I have conferences down there every once in a while, but over the last few years a couple of years they got canceled because of COVID. But yeah, I mean, I should definitely take you up on that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll show you some good taqueria places around here, man.
There we go.
So I'm very appreciative. I loved your energy. I loved your enthusiasm and the words of wisdom that you imparted today, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Farewell.
Bye.
Wow, that was very enjoyable. What great energy from Les Murphy, the 2004 state champion in mathematics class 2A from the perennial powerhouse Argyle High School math team. That was so enjoyable. And if you enjoy material like this, please take a moment to hit the subscription button. It helps out my channel quite a bit. Also, hit the notification bell, smash that like button, and leave a comment below. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you very much. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.